I'm making a game, and to do this, I'm going to need a player. Now, you might remember in the first video where I said this. It'll be something along the lines of the Terraria art style, which I'm a big fan of. So, I had to create a Terraria character. To do this, I found a website that allowed me to create one for free. Then, after creating the character, downloading the image, and then putting it into Photoshop for me to trace over some of the parts. I started at the top with the hair. I found a base brown colour for the hair. Then, depending on whether I was going towards the centre or to the edge of the hair, made it lighter or darker. The pixels for the hair are quite large, but I think it looks nicer, giving it a lot more detail. Then I moved on to the head. The head was pretty easy to do, as I just had to trace the outline and then colour it in. Just don't look under the hair. You won't really see much. Moving on to the torso, I wanted to create a peasant-style shirt from the Middle Ages. It needed to be a tan colour with a lot of holes and stains on it. And honestly, it looks pretty alright. Next up, I made the arms. And this is where I made my first big mistake of this player. I made the arms one layer in Photoshop, meaning they don't have any joints to them. This was going to be a big issue, especially during the animation stage. But other than that, I think the arms look pretty good. Finally, I made the legs. This was the part I was doing the most, as I don't really know how to do legs. Plus, the legs on the image I was using weren't really that clear. I also made another mistake here by not including joints. The main issue for the legs was that I couldn't tell where the leg stopped and the foot started. But after some trial and error, I got it done. But that's only the character looking right.
But I'm not done yet!
There are still 3 more directions I have to make. Thankfully, the character for looking left is the same as looking right. All I have to do is mirror it in Photoshop. Now, for the front and back sprites, they kind of don't exist. In fact, if you want to look up how to make those, you get this.
Good luck, motherfucker!
So I opted to animate the left and right animations. Of course, in essence, they're exactly the same. So all I had to do was animate the frames and then flip them over. The original animation that I did was, not great. So I decided to use the Terraria route of just moving the legs forwards and backwards and flipping them over during the walk cycle. And in the end, it didn't look too bad. Of course, after flipping them, I had the left and right movement animations. Then it was time for the moment I was dreading, making the front and back sprites. I decided to start from the bottom up, creating the legs first. This was a lot simpler to do when the character is facing towards you. Due to needing continuity on the sprite, I made them have the same design as the sideways sprite. Then I moved on to the torso and the arms, using the same method as before, trying to keep the same sprite design. The head and the hair were less than ideal, however. You may be surprised to hear this, but it's pretty difficult to imagine a character that has never faced forwards in its existence to face forwards. And honestly, thinking about it is really cursed. And just look at it. Look at how awful it is. It's so cursed. It shouldn't exist. Kill it now. But I think the hair may have been even worse. It got to the point where I just decided to add the hair from the sideways frames. And honestly, it looked a lot better than what I could have done making it from scratch. When it came to animating the walk cycle, I only wanted 2 frames, one with the left arm and left legged head, and one with the right arm, right leg head. For this, I just had to rearrange the layers so that the arm and leg that I wanted in front were ahead of the torso, and the other arm and leg were behind. This created a simple 2-frame walk cycle. And then there's the back sprite. For this, I took the front sprite, removed its face so it looked like the back of a head, and tried to draw some hair. This may be the worst thing I have ever done. And of course, the animation is exactly the same. Then I had to make the attack animations. This actually wasn't that bad. First, I created a sword to be used in all of the frames. Just don't look at the handle of it. I started off making the walking right attack animation, as I called it. I wanted a 16-frame cycle with the character swinging the sword up, then back down again to create a more powerful swing. It took some time, but I eventually got it. Then flipped it around to make the left-sided attack animation. The front and back attack animations are a bit different. They're only 8 frames each, and are inspired by the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past attack animation. A sideward swing from left to right. And the same thing for the front-facing sprite animation. After I'd finally finished all the animations, it was time to add them into Unity. These animations will replace the placeholder ones that I had before. Movement frames were the first ones that I added in, as all they had to do was replace the ones that I had before. But to add the attack animations, it was a bit more complicated. Of course, just putting them in the game was simple on its own. But I also had to create new code to make the player attack. Now, I didn't record me making the new code because I had to fully restart the player controller script that I had from before. This is because the tutorial I followed for the attack animations was from a different creator. But I'll show the finished code on screen now. And that's it. Next time, I'll make the combat. And thanks for watching.